Welcome to Solutions with Courtney Anderson. I'm Courtney Anderson, and this is episode 227, episode 227 of the show. And we have a show today that's part of our Help Situation Spotlight series. Our Help Situation Spotlight series is the series where community members ask for help and we respond. We shine a spotlight on a situation that they are concerned about and do everything that we can conceive of at the time to work out solutions. As always, I do ask that you drop by CourtneyAnderson.com. That is our central website. That's where we have our library of materials. We have hundreds and hundreds, over 600 individual web pages of content just for you. And I always love to hear from you. So while you're on the website, take a moment, share what's on your mind. I also have joined the modern world, and I am on Twitter. I am at Zealous Business. So the show today is one that I think is a little bit more sophisticated and tricky than it may seem at first. Our specific show topic today is I deserve my dream job. I deserve my dream job. I deserve my dream job. All right. So even if we say with a lot of gusto, as I shared initially this topic, it's on the show schedule, it's off the show schedule. And by show schedule, what I mean is there's constantly an in-process list of just sort of brainstorming ideas that I have that come all the time. So I'll jot ideas on my smartphone, I'll jot ideas on a piece of paper. And in addition to that, then I have input from other people that are part of my team, and then I try to arrange the shows in a way where there's a variety. So initially this show topic looked one way to me. I looked at it and I thought, I deserve my dream job. No. That was my initial response. I thought, no, you don't deserve your dream job. I don't deserve my dream job. None of us deserve anything. So that was inaccurate because it was incomplete. And when you go to CourtneyAnderson.com, of course, we have individual microsites as part of the website where each individual program, of course, this is our audio podcast or our radio talk show, and we now 227 episodes in, unbelievable. And just getting started. We have a companion video show, and we are moving forward with a wealth of new types of information delivery vessels, so webinars and workshops and all kinds of things. So there's a lot going on, and that's part of why I think my initial reaction, really my sort of gut, was like so quick, right? I deserve my dream job, help! I deserve my dream job. No, there was sort of a gut reaction, and when I said it was inaccurate because it was incomplete, if you go to our microsite, you'll see for many of the shows, what we started to do is what we call our stone of solutions, right? And a stone is a unit of measurement that for people who use the American system for weight, one stone is 14 pounds. So I thought, okay, a stone, 14, right? So then I put 14 different sort of highlights from the show. We'll see on there that one of those on our Stone of Solutions for this show on the website, on the microsite, is a dictionary definition of the word deserve. And when you look at that, right? So one, we look on there, we see again, it's a transitive verb. Okay, that's right. And then we think, let's read. And of course, like I said, it's on the website. So the first part of the definition says to be worthy of. merit, like deserves another chance, to be worthy of. Okay, all right. And then the second option says to be worthy, fit, or suitable for some reward or requital. And then they gave the example of how to become recognized as they deserve. All right. So my initial gut reaction when I said, nope, this isn't really anything that you need help with. You don't deserve your dream job, right? That was my initial gut reaction. That was based on the second definition, this idea that you're worthy of this and that you should be rewarded. You should be rewarded with your dream job. And that's where my interpretation was coming from. And as I said, it was incomplete. When you think of the idea that just as an individual, and we talk about in so many of our programs a couple of issues, and one of the issues I often will mention is the idea of intrinsic value, the idea that I'm a human and that means intrinsically I have value, and that value may relate to the concept of respect. I respect myself simply because I exist. And consequently, in many different situations in life, I deserve respect because I exist. So if I show up at a medical facility, maybe a hospital, oh my goodness, I had a horrible accident and I have a broken bone. Yes, I deserve respect. I deserve to be acknowledged and processed in and then treated by the medical professionals to the best of their ability. And there are many instances like this where this idea of I deserve it, yes, I'm intrinsically possessing value. So I deserve to be receiving medical treatment, or if I call the police for help or the fire department, oh goodness, something's on fire, come help me. Then I deserve for them to treat me equally with anyone else who calls and immediately send out the fire personnel and emergency personnel to help put the fire out. I deserve that just by existing. The challenge, though, is when we move beyond these types of issues, where my argument is that, yes, you do, quote, deserve it. You deserve for them to see you at the hospital. You deserve for them to come put your fire out with the fire services. And those are based on the presumption that someone's in a society where that's the standard that everyone has. So in many parts of the world, then there's a fire, I call emergency services, the fire department comes, and that's what the standard is for everyone. So that's why I'm saying you deserve it. When we move away from something that, yes, you exist, you have intrinsic value, and this system is decided that everyone will be receiving these rewards through the infrastructure and the values of the community. Yes, we're going to send out a firefighter. Obviously, if we don't do that, then your fire burns down your place. It could also spread and burn other people's places. So there's a price, right? There's reasons why societies make these decisions. But these are not individually merited. And that's where I think, as I said, it can become confusing for people. You deserve the treatment based on the context of your situation. So if I went to a part of the world where no one gets emergency services, if something's on fire, there's not the resource available, there's not an active, fire department that's trained with a big fire vehicle and state-of-the-art firefighting gear, and that doesn't exist for anybody. And that the only people who would receive any help if they had a fire would be people who paid for their own private fire department. If that was the standard, then me standing around being angry, I deserve the fire department, it's not even logical. No, you don't, because nobody else has it. And so these things have context. You still have intrinsic value, but you have to operate within the reality. And again, we share many programs. We talk about our overarching focus, which is surpassing our goals. And I do often reiterate my individual orientation to the world in terms of being a pragmatist and in terms of an internal locus of control, which is where I believe that in many instances that my actions do impact outcomes, right? Instead of external actions are in charge and then I just sort of sit around waiting to see what the world, quote, does to me as some sort of a victim. So we want to underscore the idea that this is more sophisticated than it may seem. If somebody made the statement and said, help, I deserve my dream job, and then went on to explain a context. So they went on to say, and I'm from a family and there are 3 sisters. So there's 4 kids and myself, and I have 3 sisters, and our great grandfather was very wealthy and owns 700 hotels around the world, and everyone in my family is given whatever, quote, job they want when they turn 23. And I'm turning 23 next week. I deserve my dream job. With all that context to it, then I would say under that circumstance, it's somewhat analogous to the person in a society where everyone expects you call the fire department comes right out, and they've got great equipment and they're ready to go and they fight the fire, right? If the context of that person's more clearly defined parameters are within my family, the money and the resources, the infrastructure is there, and everyone else receives this. Now I'm listening, right? There also, though, may be other context. So it may be that if you went and checked into that hypothetical and asked, hey, you got 700 hotels. This person's saying they help. Where's their dream job? They're about to turn 23. And then you found out, oh, well, they had stolen some money from one of our hotels when they were there for a family event. They physically attacked and beat up one of the people that works for one of our hotels, and these are some of the reasons why, even though they're turning 23, they're not going to get the dream job that everybody else gets. Okay, now I'm listening. Now you're explaining it. And so this, again, is why it's more sophisticated. I made the argument at the beginning, I have intrinsic value as a human, right? I have intrinsic value as a human. And then I segued into this argument, now I'm starting talking about things are relative, right? Relativism. Well, do I deserve the fire department to come if I'm in a part of the world where there are no operating fire units with gear? I would argue no. Just factually, how will that happen? If I'm in a situation where there are existing infrastructure and promises that were made to a person when they turn 23, they'll get a guaranteed dream job at their family's hotels. And then we went on to find out that the reason that didn't apply to them is because some of these things they'd done that were illegal, right? It's more sophisticated to navigate this than you may initially think. Because to be able to understand the context of the situation and figure out, wait a minute, I have intrinsic value just as I exist. So I do respect myself. And I do treat myself in a way where I don't expose myself, to abuse, or I don't expose myself to behavior that's not appropriate under my own personal, ethical standards. That's one path. The challenge for a lot of people is that they don't have that internal foundation. So a lot of people, the reason I focused on the intrinsic value in so many programs is because for many people it's lacking, or it's not as strong as it needs to be. And so if somebody's orientation to the world is that they don't have intrinsic value, then the whole rest of all of my advice usually is not going to work. Because if somebody wakes up and thinks, I don't have any value, I'm not even going to try. There's no point. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not going to even call for fire department to help with the fire. They won't come because I'm not good enough. I'm not even going to apply for a job. I'm not good enough. I'm too stupid. Nobody likes me. I fail. I'm a failure. Okay, so when people go down that path, which is so self-destructive and it's not going to get us any of the good outcomes that we would desire, then that's why I keep railing about the intrinsic value to counteract that orientation to the world where someone becomes so self-defeatist and engages in that learned helplessness, right? The learned helplessness we've talked about in other programs more in depth is that psychological behavior pattern where even though you could easily, get a job or easily get the fire department to come over and put the fire out, you won't even do the minor thing you need to do, like, dial emergency services, because you're standing there arguing with yourself. I'm not good enough. I deserve to just burn in the fire. Let the fire burn all my things up. And so this is the all of the programs and all of the things we discuss and everything that's happening, of course, is the rush and the exhilaration and the adrenaline of it is because it's happening in real life, and real life is not a laboratory. I don't have control over all the factors, right? Which is why the area, and I've explained, I did a whole program talking about the idea of my label as the workplace relationship expert. The reason that's so hard to answer a lot of the issues that we discuss is because you're not in controlled situations, and so much of what derails the good outcome is coming from the person internally. And if the person's coming from this place of I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, I don't deserve anything, then all of the rest of their systems at work and with relating to other people and accomplishing their financial goals and accomplishing their individual goals and all of that, it won't work because their foundation is just broken. And so that's why I keep reiterating, right? You got to have intrinsic value. The other challenge, though, on the other side of this is some people think my intrinsic value means that I am so special and unique that whatever I want, I should get because I'm me. And that is absolutely inaccurate. And that goes to this idea in our definitions, right? Look, we exist. That's kind of it. I'm not entitled. I'm not deserving. We want to say, well, we're entitled to food, and we're entitled to clean water, and we're entitled to, restroom facilities, and we're entitled. No, we're not. If that was true, then we would have zero situations on our spectrum of our species where people didn't have those things. And we know, you and I know right now, not far from where you and I are sitting, and I don't care where you are in the world, if you're in the richest high rise in Hong Kong, or you're in a very economically devastated part of the world somewhere else, there's someone relatively close who doesn't have enough food to eat. Now, there are a multitude of layers of reasons of how this happens, but the argument that I exist, I have intrinsic value, thus give me what I should be rewarded with, that's where the system breaks down. And that's why I said my initial response to the show topic was, well, no. We talk a lot about programs, about structuring a strategy, right? A strategy. And that's, of course, one of the things I'm most known for is strategic leadership and strategic analysis, and even have been so fortunate to receive my award from the World Human Resource Development Congress, right, in Mumbai a few years ago, because you have to have a plan. Look, if you just deserved it, then you wouldn't need any strategy. It would just sort of be like, I exist and there's something about me that deserves the dream job, thus give it to me. So you don't need a strategy, because the argument would be, I just deserve it, so give it to me. And the only thing you would ever have to, I guess, argue and try to understand is, why haven't they given it to you? Did they not give it to you at the time you wanted it? Did they not give it to you in the way that you wanted it? But there would be no discussion. You never need to strategize. You don't need to plan. You don't need to do anything, because you just, you deserve it, give it to you. And that's a different mindset and analysis. And that's why I originally said, no, you don't deserve your dream job. Now, what I am trying to address simultaneously is the two parts of this definition. The first part of the definition is that you're worthy of it, right? Are you worthy of a dream job? Yes. Everyone is worthy of it. I would argue everyone's worthy of food. Healthy food, sufficient for optimal human development and progress. Are you deserving of clean water? Yes. Are you worthy of that? Yes. I don't believe, and again, this is my own ethics. This is my own philosophy. I don't believe there's anyone that I would say, well, they're that size, or they're that they live in that place, or their name is that name, or whatever, and because of that they don't deserve water. What? Now, there are people who have all types of arguments for that, and we talk and it's mention those types of things because they impact the world we're in. But I fundamentally reject that. Is no, of course not. The challenge is, how do you simultaneously try to shore up people who convince themselves they're not even worthy of it? And that's where you get into that very negative spiral where someone is not getting their dream job because they don't even try. They're not applying for anything. They give up. Their motivation is so low. Sometimes they can get in very unhealthy practices where they're hurting themselves, in terms of their diet or in terms of their abuse or neglect of themselves. So simultaneously, I'm making the argument that every single person is just intrinsically, of course, we deserve, in terms of I'm worthy of that. Are you deserving of it in terms of you should be rewarded with it just because you exist? No. Sadly, I feel for us as a species, even things like these basic issues of water, right? Clean water, both for drinking and for bathing and hygiene issues, restrooms. Yeah, I don't think it really should be a situation where anyone has to go out and strategize to attain that. But the reality of the world is that, yeah, it is. And people do all kinds of things through their community, through political systems, through bringing attention to situations, to strategize to get that outcome. And I hope, and I certainly am trying to contribute and do more and with my individual part of the effort, so that again, the hope in the future is that do we get to a point where no, there's a standard we set for our species and say, look, there are billions of us, right now over 7 billion of us, but we're going to set a standard for our species that our species is going to have access to water, food, and we're going to do that. That's not anything that we couldn't do. We could do that right now. We, collectively, humans. But it breaks down, right? We get into all these other subgroups and issues and power struggles. But I believe in that, and so we're working on that. And we, you and I and all of our community members, we're going to continue to be part of that struggle. Because it's something we absolutely can do it. The challenge with our show topic, though, is that we're trying to simultaneously fight the two sides of this. The one side is that, yes, you intrinsically are worthy of a dream job. Yes. Will you be given or rewarded with your dream job just because you're you? No. So that's the more fully complete analysis that I said earlier that I didn't touch on when I went right to my no. I don't believe I deserve my dream job. I don't believe I deserve my dream meal. I don't believe I deserve my dream, uh, you know, anything. Now, would I like a dream meal? Sure, okay. If I do I think I'm worthy of it? Would I go to some place if I'd earned the opportunity to go to a wonderful restaurant? Would I sit there and, I won't eat anything. I'm not good enough. Forget that. I intrinsically, have the ability to eat like anyone else. And if I haven't stolen the food, if I'm not there under some sort of fraud or some sort of other, crime or unethical behavior, if I've worked and set aside the resources, or maybe someone that is in my community of caring, right? They've said they want to treat me there, then go enjoy it. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the people who are struggling with this thing where they are erasing themselves, right? I don't deserve it. To get them to say, no, of course you do. Everyone's worthy just because you exist, right? But then to cap it at, you deserve that opportunity. And again, I'm excluding the things that I would argue we as a species should commit to, and at least to start with ourselves, and potentially I would also argue other species, but let's start with just humans, right? Like, no, come on, everyone. To have people die because they don't have anything to drink, die because the starvation. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Yet it's again something we can handle. Beyond that level of now people are hydrating and something to eat. Do I believe that everybody deserves, a gourmet meal at the most expensive restaurant in the world? No, I don't believe that part. And I think this is where this discussion again becomes very sophisticated. Because you have someone who does think to themselves, okay, I have value. I have intrinsic value, which is good. But then they go the other direction with that and extrapolate it out and say, but I have so much intrinsic value that's special that I should deserve a dream job, a dream meal, a dream yacht, dream whatever. And that's where we get into these things that are really delusional and destructive to others and destructive to the individual. And it's just sad. You don't deserve your dream job. Now, if you have your dream job, then you are worthy of enjoying that and being proud of it. See, that's the difference. But you're not entitled to be rewarded just because you're so you. Here's your dream job. Here's your dream meal. Here's your dream spouse. Here's a dream mansion. Here's a dream, scuba diving outfit or whatever. Like, no. You're entitled to I remember earlier I gave that example of I'm in part of the world where I call emergency services and the expectation is that they come, right? Then because of the context of that, then yeah, I'm going to call them and they're going to come. It's not because I'm me. It's just because that's the standard of the context. Everyone that calls emergency services, they're supposed to come. And then when they don't, it's usually in the local news. Local person called emergency services and they didn't even show up for a few minutes. What on earth is happening? Things are falling apart. What happened? We're going to call the fire chief and have him explain. People are upset about it, right? Because that's like the standard. And this is where it gets tricky. You individually aren't entitled to anything because of your you-ness. Do you see the difference? I'm saying that humans, our species, entitled to clean water. You or me, I'm Courtney Anderson. That in itself is not even anything, right? Because there's so many Courtney Andersons. I've had in other programs. That's part of the reason why when you get in the materials on the website, you'll see me use my middle name a lot. And then some of the credentials that I've earned in my profession, because there are so many other people with my name. And I'm trying to do all I can to kind of label myself so people kind of get it. Hey, I'm the one lady that does this one podcast versus all the other super awesome Courtney Andersons, right? So I'm not entitled to anything to the water because I'm Courtney Anderson. I'm entitled to the water because I'm a human. And that's the difference. That's what I'm talking about. So when people are saying help, I deserve my dream job, I want to make sure that we work through the two parts of it. Yes, you and I and all the other humans deserve the opportunity and are worthy of if we earn our dream job. Great. You, just because you're you, or me, just because I'm myself, I'm not entitled to be rewarded with just, hey, you're Courtney and here's your dream job. What? That doesn't make any sense. But that's where you get the abuse of this. Where people will say, well, I went to school and I did well and, I worked hard and I don't understand why I don't have my dream job. What? That's where my original reaction, right? I'm shocked because we did a show. We talked about how competitive it is globally. The numbers. We did a show, right? There's 7 billion people or how many billion people competing for my job. We talked about some of this data. Yeah. You're not entitled to anything. You don't deserve your dream job. If you went out and you earned your dream job, and then I'm saying you're worthy of it, to enjoy it, to feel good about yourself, take pride in that, right? You don't feel guilty because you've earned it. But but there's nothing intrinsic about you that makes you so special that some magic is supposed to come along and give you some dream life. There's nothing about me. And that's where the friction comes. This is a very, like I said, much more sophisticated topic than it seems. But I am hoping that even in this episode that it's gotten you thinking about this and that you're working through in your own mind. I get it. We collectively deserve these, I would argue, sort of necessities of survival, which I've been talking about in this show. And then we collectively also are equally worthy of the things that we have, either good fortune and our work and our choices and decisions. We sacrificed to earn the credential, and now we're able to do that work. Okay, well then, all right. But when you earn the credential, it doesn't mean that someone comes along and gives you something. It just means that now you have an opportunity for that type of work. You still got to get in there and compete with everybody else. And if you don't get the outcome that you expected, then the questions we go work through in our shows and our programs is everything we have in our, your resume, how you did your interview, and our communique series, and all the ways that you can relate to other people. We try to build up a strategy, right, to be able to obtain that outcome you want. We don't sit around and say, "Oh, well, you're yourself. Of course, you should just be given it." That's the most illogical thing we've ever heard of. But that, unfortunately, is what some people have decided, and it puts them in a life of just almost never-ending frustration and disappointment and bitterness and regret and all this kind of stuff. But we had to mention it. So again, the two parts of the show: yes, all of us collectively, we deserve, yes, the opportunity to pursue all of our dreams. Individually, is there something about myself or you or any of us that because we're so special that we should just be given from some whatever source, whatever we want? No. And I always think of, the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which is a book, great book, and then there's an older movie, and then they did some more recent, although those are a while ago now, updates. And there's a little girl, right, in this show, and she just I want it all, I want it now, I want it mine, me, and it's it's sad, and it's funny, but it's also really sad. So that's all we were trying to make sure, is that we weren't touching that type of person who's really self-destructive, and like I said, their narcissism is just really sad. I am so happy you joined me. As always, please come to CourtneyAnderson.com. Please leave ratings and reviews on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you find our show. Please stay in touch with me and let me know show topic ideas and feedback. And as we roll out these new workshops and seminars and different types of opportunities, please sign up for those so that we can continue to learn from you what's going to be most effective in helping you get out there so that you do earn that dream job. Thank you.